Alright, what is going on, gargantuan gamers? It's Brody with O Bother, and I'm gonna talk to you today about Smite. So, Smite's a game I've been playing for a long time, and I've been wanting to make some beginner guides for it because out of all the games, out of all the esports, really like Valorant or League of Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, everything like that, there's good beginner content and it's easier to get into those games. Where Smite, for example, is a MOBA like League, but however, Smite's main game mode, Conquest, isn't really its most popular game mode, and that's the difference between like every other esport game and Smite. Smite's Conquest is kind of overshadowed by all the other games out there and the game modes that Smite itself has. So, one of the big reasons I believe is for that is because Smite's just hard to understand. Just like any MOBA, it's hard to understand. And one thing in particular that is so hard to understand about Smite is its store. So the store is huge. For example, like there's a ton of different items in it, and it doesn't exactly tell you how to build. There are auto buys in the game, but they aren't exactly always the best. So I'm going to walk through completely a beginner's guide, how to build every single god in Smite with just a few core cookie cutter builds. So if you're a new player to Smite and you're not sure how to really start building and you don't want to rely on the auto buy and you want to learn the store, start with this. So for example, say you... Here, let me back up. I like to think with Smite, yes, you can main a god. I think for new players, that's a dangerous thing to get into, because for Smite Conquest, you want to be able to play every god, obviously, but you also want to be able to play your role. So there are 5 roles. There's solo lane, carry, which is your bot lane in League of Legends, and there's a support who's like your tank, your mage, which is usually your mid laner, and then an assassin, which is your jungler. So I'm going to give you a cookie cutter build for every single class, and from there you can morph the build to however you want it. I'm just going to give you the cores to how to start every build. So with that, we'll start. So for warriors are typically going to be your solo lane gods. These are the main gods for the solo lane. You can also play them in the jungle, or you can also play them in the support, but with those you can still just use the jungle core build that I give you and the support build that I give you. So for the solo lane, we're going to be focusing on 2 different types of warriors. There is auto attack warriors and ability based warriors. So an ability based warrior, for instance, is Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong is an ability-based warrior because his damage primarily comes from his abilities. Shocker, I know. But for ability warriors, here's where you get started. So for starter, what you buy when you first come into the game, typically the best starter item right now as of June 12th, 2021, I think we are on patch 8.4, what we do is Bluestone. Bluestone is super powerful right now. It gives you great early game. It gives you great poke. It leads into something great late game. So you're on ability warriors, you're always going to start Bluestone. Excuse me. So for your start, your beginner start will look like this. You'll have Chalice of Healing, and you'll buy 3 or 4 multi-pots. This is typically what I do, and then you'll have your active. Your active will either be teleport, blink, whatever you believe would be best for your team. So this is the start. So your build this is the first thing you buy. Bluestone Pendant is very important. So you have your Bluestone Pendant, and then you go into your Warrior Tabi or your Reinforced Greaves. Say if you're ahead, I would your Warrior Tabi. If you're wanting to play it safe, go Reinforced Greaves. Typically, I'll go Warrior Tabi just because Warrior damage falls off in the late game, and I like to have a lead and be able to fight early while I still can. So I go Warrior Tabi, so we'll build that. And then with that, we'll jump into our next item, which is going to be Gladiator Shield. Now, I like Gladiator Shield because it gives you everything you need, basically, while you're still in lane. So once you have Gladiator Shield done, you're still in lane, you're transitioning into your team fight phase, you're ganking more, and then I will go into something along the lines of maybe a Pridwin. Pridwin is very good. It gives you both physical and magical protections, and it gives you the cooldown reduction you need. So typically, this is what you'll start with Pridwin. And then from there, I believe that this is the best core you can have. You can swap out the Gladiator Shield if you're kind of falling behind. You can buy Breastplate of Valor. You can buy Shifter Shield if you're wanting more damage. I typically will do Shifter Shield just when I'm feeling cocky, and I typically play solo lane, so I'm always feeling cocky. So this would be the core build for the beginning of your solo lane. So I would usually start Bluestone, Warrior Tabi, go into the Shifter Shield. And then after that, I want you to try and take a look at the store and see what you would need. I'm not going to give you full builds, I'm just going to give you a core so you know how to play the early into the mid game. So with that, that's your warrior core. Go Bluestone, Warrior Tabi, or Tank Boots, Reinforced Greaves, and then to the Shifter Shield, and then whatever you would need from there. So those are our ability-based warrior builds. On to auto attack warriors. Okay, for your auto attack warriors, we're going to use Osiris for an example. Because Osiris, while he does have damaging abilities, a lot of his damage and his power will come from auto attack canceling your abilities. So for Osiris and your auto attack gods, you can choose to go Bluestone if you're wanting to play a little more safe, but while you're auto attacking and you have like cleave auto attacks where you hit more than one minion at a time, I like to go Death's Toll. They have nerfed Death's Embrace, but it is still very good. So I will go Death's Toll. Into my boots, you will most likely always go boots after your starter item. You'll see that as a core of what we do here. So I go Ninja Tabi for the extra attack speed, and that'll give you more lifesteal from the Death's Toll. So when you're first stepping out, you're going to go Chalice, and then 3 or 4 multi-pot, and whatever relic you choose. We'll go Teleport for this instance. So this will be what you buy out of tower, or out of base, I'm sorry. And then once you have the gold, you'll finish your Ninja Tabi. And then I definitely, if you go the Death's Toll, I always go the Berserker Shield after. So this is your core. This alone can basically carry you through the early and mid game. And from there, it's just what you're needing to build. Like if they have their hunter is carrying, one thing you want to buy majority of the time without even thinking about it is Spectral Armor. Spectral Armor is right here. It stops you from getting crit by 60%, or you take 60% damage less from crits. So in all of these tank builds, Spectral Armor is very important right now as of, like I said, June 12th, 2021. So this would be your core build, and from there, I want you to take a look at the store, see what you're needing to build from there. For your Guardians, here we go. So for the Guardians, my personal playstyle with Guardians is I play for the team, I try and make plays for the team, and I am not the one getting kills or anything like that. I am trying to keep my team alive while following my own calls. So with that, any of these will work. I'll go with Athena just for fun. So for starter items, the meta of support starter items is very, very interesting, I would say. Sentinel's Gift, while it is very good when you go into Sentinel's Embrace, you'll split defense with all of your team. However, I am very much in love with the item Benevolence, which leads into Compassion. So what Compassion does is it gives you extra gold along benevolence does as well, but compassion gives you more. It just upgrades that passive that it has. But also the damage your team would take to up to a certain percentage goes to you instead, and that is just absolutely my play style of a support. So I always will go into benevolence, into compassion. So I would start benevolence, and I would go boots 1 into potions whenever you need them. So I would go health and multi potions, and then that is what I would walk out of base with. So going into your boots, the boots I prefer are usually reinforced shoes, just because they are a very stacked item when it comes to early game tanking. Like, that's really all you need. So I would go into reinforced shoes, and then Gauntlet of Thebes. So Gauntlet of Thebes is a stacking defense item. It gives you a ton of defense when it's fully stacked, and from there, this is where the tank build is super great. So you only need 3 items: Benevolence, Reinforced Shoes, and Gauntlet of Thebes, and that can basically take you through the entirety of mid-game. Everything you build on top of that is just extra, and it's what you need to cater to the game to where you can do what you need to do for your team. So this would be your support core to start to get to the early and mid game. From there, like I said, with every other build, take a look at what you need at that moment and just build through there. I want you to really learn the store, and don't let the game decide for you. There are some items like Sovereignty and Heartward that are super straightforward, and they're kind of like the baby's first support build. But with Gauntlet of Thebes, you don't really need them. So really take a look at what you would want and what you think you would need for your team for you to be able to support them to the best you can. So from there, moving on to actual damage dealers, let's go into Assassins, or the jungler role. Assassins kind of have a very nice core. It fits very well with what they're wanting to do. It's very simple. So the hardest decision you'll have to make in the very beginning is if you want to what you want to decide for your starter item. So starter items are Bumba's Dagger would be your best one, I believe. Bumba's Dagger gives you sustain in the beginning, and it also gives you extra damage against jungle monsters. So, and that will go into the Bumba's Hammer, but for now we're just going to focus on the early to mid, which will be Bumba's Dagger. And so what I want you to think about for your jungling is, do you want to be a more tanky jungler, or do you want to be a more burst damage hard carry for my team type jungler? So if you're wanting to be the hard carry burst damage jungler, Bumba's Dagger is your way to go. If you want to be a more tanky supportive jungler, I would look at Eye of the Jungle in going into the Protector of the Jungle. So for this instance, I'm going to be a damage jungler, so I'm going to go Bumba's Dagger. We'll start that. And then so my what is it? So what I would walk out of base with is Bumba's Dagger, the first bit of mace, and then a health pot. So that would be what I choose to build. Now, you can go boots. Let's be a little safer and go boots here, just to be safe for your build, so everything changes. So everything is built the same way. So that would be Beast. So walk out of base with this. So you have your Bumba's Dagger, and for your core, the Assassin core, like I said, is very, very nice, because like warriors, there are ability-based assassins and there are auto-attack assassins. And the item I want you to start building first for the core is something that caters to both of those. So I would start your warrior tabi if you're an ability-based assassin, or ninja tabi if you are an auto-attack based. So for Thor, he's more ability-based, and that's what we've picked. So let's go into warrior tabi here. And then the next item is a really cool item called Crusher. Crusher is my favorite item in the game, I think, because it gives you, let's look at this item real quick. So Crusher gives you attack speed, power, and penetration, and if an enemy is hit by a damaging ability, they take tick damage. That literally gives you everything you would want for an ability based and an attack speed based. So we always go Crusher first. Now from there, this is where I want you to take a look at the store and see what you want. So if you're an attack speed or an auto attack assassin, take a look at the attack speed tree. If you're an ability based, take a look at the penetration. It's super fun to experiment with builds in this game, and what these cores will give you is a good foundation to start to let you experiment. So with that, so Boma's Dagger, Warrior Tabi, into Crusher, or whichever boots you prefer. It could be Ninja or Warrior, depending on what character you're playing. So that is your Assassin core, and I'm going to move on to Mages. Alrighty, Mages, or your mid laners. So we'll use Zhang Kui for this example. So going into the God Builder, for Mages, if you, looking back at past SPL games, which is the Smite Pro League, which is the highest level the game is played, most of the time your mid laners will start with Sands of Time. So for this instance, this is what I'm going to want you to try and build. So Sands of Time gives you the cooldown reduction and magical power and extra mana while you're missing mana. So it's very nice. It gives you the sustain and lane that you need. So walking out of base, I want you to try and get, we'll go Sands of Time into Boots 1, into Health and Mana Pot. And all these starts are fairly conservative, but it gets us the ability to play safe, learn what we're needing to do, and gives us the ability to finish our builds reliably. So this is what you'll walk out of base with. And what I want you to go into for Mages is Shoes of Focus. Now, there are Shoes of the Magi, which give you lifesteal, but with these stats, the cooldown that Shoes of Focus gives you is a little bit more valuable, especially when paired with Sands of Time. So we'll go Shoes of Focus, and then the next item I want you to build is Spear of the Magus. Mages have the kind of downside that all of their items are super expensive. And so Spear of the Magus, what it does is if you hit an enemy with an ability, it marks them and they take more damage. And that's super valuable because they take increased damage from all sources. And Spear of the Magus gives you penetration, and it gives you the lifesteal that you're missing from not building Shoes of the Magi. So Spear of the Magus is super amazing as of June 12th, 2021. So this is your core build for Mages. And then from there, with all these other builds, take a look at what you're needing. Lifesteal is also very good. You can go more pen. The best probably Mage item is Rod of Tahuti. So if you're always not sure what to build on a Mage and you don't have Rod of Tahuti, go ahead and grab that. It's super good. You can go into defense, just whatever you need to benefit your team the most. So Mages are super simple. The big blue items, I say. Sands of Time, Shoes of Focus, Spear of the Magus. So that's your build. That's your core build at least. So for Hunters, we'll use On Her for an example here. Hunters are kind of in a special spot with their builds because the Hunter build is always, not always, but every Hunter, like 90% of the time, is building the exact same build as the enemy Hunter. There's not a lot of differentiation because the Hunter build is kind of scientifically made to do the most damage it can be. So Hunters are in a special spot because they're not relying on their abilities per se. They're more reliant on their auto attacks. So for Hunters, the start typically is kind of differentiated by your starter item. I think Gilded Arrow is what's in the meta now if you're more auto attack based. However, if you want to play safe on an ability-based hunter like Meath, something like that, you can go into Bluestone. However, for the instance of on her, we'll start Gilded Arrow. And so, instead of buying boots first, we're going to buy Morningstar, because hunters typically want to start stacking as soon as possible. So, if you can, buy this item Transcendence first. But if you die in lane, say you get ganked early, buy boots. So this would be your core build starting out, and when you're walking out of base, it'll look something like this. And then whatever potions you can take. So something like that is what you'd be walking out of base with. It would look like that, I believe. So that is what you're walking out of base with, but however, it'll look like this. And the hunter build goes on to include Aussie. And then you would go into either kin size or executioner. If they have a lot of tanky targets, you're going to go into kin size, but if they're more squishy, you're going to go into the item executioner here. And then from there, it is just your where are you? Titan's Bane. And then you'll either sell your boots or you'll sell your starter item for Odysseus Bow. Take a look at some hunter players, take a look how they're building, and just buy those. So this is basically your cookie cutter core for a hunter. And so with that, that's how you build every god in Smite. I've given you the cores. Go ahead and take some time to learn the store, experiment with builds, because the game gets super rewarding, it gets super fun, super intricate when you start mixing these items, start learning them for yourself, and it's pretty rewarding to learn the store. You learn a lot about the game just by doing that. You become better for it. So this is how you do it. My name's Brody. I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/ohbother. If you want to check those out, you can subscribe to YouTube. You can follow me on Twitch. I filmed this video live on my stream, so talking to my chat as I did it. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for taking a look at the video. If you enjoyed it, give me some support. Either comment, like. I love talking to you guys for all the comments I do receive. So thanks so much. Peace out.